business membership too.
Awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. What business is that, Molly?
It's Pop of Molly Photography.
Cool.
Yeah,
Excellent. Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Well,
Well,
so I guess Molly and Zach know Andy.
Yes.
yeah, if not, Andy Van Hook, Appeal Production, imaginative producer there, and we are a video marketing firm, and been a member of the Greater Augusta Regional Chamber for a while, probably going on, well, we've been in business for almost 12 years and been a member for, my guess is that long. So yeah, proud member and happy to be here and have the opportunity to talk a little bit today during this lunch and learn. If you came last month, we were talking a little bit about recruitment and what that can look like and other ways to work on messaging to attract employees to your job openings. And today we're going to take the next step in that and talk about training and the messaging and why that's important and how that can help retain employees and lead to longer term relationships. So let me screen share. All right, you got it. See my screen? We're good?
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you for the audible note. So today's presentation, but I thought I was doing a good job and how training impacts employee fulfillment. So as I mentioned earlier, training sometimes can almost be seen as an afterthought, or it's something that a lot of businesses will see as something for only new hires. And what we've seen what work really well for other companies and some of our clients is that, yes, it is vital with new hires, but it is also very important to continue that training and skill building with all employees. And sometimes even refreshers of things that, are standard or things that were thought to be known. Refreshers can really help get things back on track with employees who've been with you for a while. So want to start off, with a little story. So have any of you, well, yeah, there's three of you. Have any of you ever helped a friend or a member of your family with a portion of a larger project? And in this instance, by the picture, such as moving. So it sounds like there's at least two people who've been involved in moving lately. You've been more of the contractor on it than necessarily the employee, but my guess is we've all helped a friend or family member move once. And for me, I helped a friend of mine named Jamie once when she was moving. And, she gave me instructions about what she wanted and where she wanted things. And we thought had a clear understanding of where things were going to go. So I get to work, start unloading boxes as instructed. And her fiance comes in, Greg, a little bit later with another truckload as I'm still unloading the first one. And he tells me to put the boxes in a different place. And so I'm like, okay, I'm here to be helpful and help my friends out and to move their boxes and to help them get into their home. And so I adjust and change the job to the latest instructions that I received from Greg. So doing good, moving boxes, doing the thing. About 2 hours later, Jamie comes to check on my progress. And my guess is, where this is going. I can tell she's upset, right? Immediately. And I ask what's wrong. She tells me that the boxes aren't at all where she wanted them and that she didn't know what happened. Well, Greg comes over to tell her that, he was taken up for me and told her that he told me to put them in a different place. So, then they get into an argument about the change of plans. And as we discussed, you all know how stressful moving can be. So anyway, I'm kind of standing there waiting for them to figure out what the deal is. And so they finally came to an agreement to stop the argument of moving the boxes to yet another place. Now it's a third place that I've had to move these boxes to. So, I thought I was doing a good job and just doing what the boss, my friend Jamie, told me to do. And then I adjusted to what the other boss, her fiance Greg, told me to do. And I didn't know any different. So I was just doing the right thing, or thought I was doing the right thing. In the end, though, everybody was frustrated. The job took longer than was necessary. And once it was complete, I wasn't really interested in staying for the pizza and beer. The reward and camaraderie after a job well done, wasn't very appealing to me at that point. It kind of redone the work. And we all know that most of the time you get paid for moving in pizza and beer, and I wasn't necessarily interested after that. And so the question I have is, how often do your employees get different instruction from different people? And how much does the resulting rework cost? Cost is in materials, cost in time. And for me, cost in employee morale in the moving situation with my friend Jamie. I feel your frustration because I feel your frustration, and I've definitely felt the employees' frustration. And I know that everybody here wants to have satisfied employees and reduce conflict. And in my experience, better training connects with employees and increases their likelihood of staying. So this is open-ended question. Why is training important for employees?
I guess proper training would reduce the time it would take to redo things that weren't done properly.
Good. Thank you, Molly.
Well, because you don't want them just speculating what they should do, because everybody's opinion is different and they may do something that takes you backtracks you instead of moves you forward.
Excellent.
They've got to know what you expect out of them.
Thanks, Shasta. Zach?
I'd say training is important because communication is important. If you fail to communicate what you expect, I feel that most times the employees will fail to communicate how they feel after the job that they think is done. Excellent.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you all. All those are excellent answers and correct. And one of the pieces that we look at from the employee perspective is, while training is important for the employees and why they want to be trained, is, most people want to pursue knowledge. They want to develop their skills. They want to become good or even an expert at something. And training also makes them feel valued as a vital or an important member of the team and organization. So it's twofold, right? So training employees is important for the business. We also need to look at why training is important internally for the employee. Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining in. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the 5 C's to A+ training. And this is really an opportunity to chat through like I said, the 5 C's that we feel like are key to having A+ training in your organization and making sure that your employees are engaged and thriving. So first, the first C is credibility. And so a consistent training program tells everyone on your team that your standards are important. This gives credibility to your company with your employees, that you have standards that are in place that they need to adhere to in order to remain employed there. which is, you know, for some people, they may think that's limiting. However, it actually is kind of freeing and for employees. It lets them know what their job roles are and gives them opportunities to find improvements for you along the way, potential improvements for you along the way. But again, this training program will give you credibility that's internal with your employees, and then that extends out into the community because they will talk about the standards that your company has, this training program that your company has, and it improves your company's brand and reputation in the community. It makes your organization a desirable place to work, and also it makes it more likely to attract top new talent. So solid training that builds your credibility, you know, makes it a desirable place to work, which is in today's market is very key. It also provides clarity. Employees, especially new ones, aren't sure what those standards are that we were talking about. They don't know how the business runs. They don't know what the best practices are. They don't know what the policies and procedures and standards are. So a solid training program provides that clarity, and it allows the organization to set those standards so all employees know them. It allows them to keep each other in check. So it allows your employees to, in some ways, self-police because everybody knows the standards, policies, and procedures. And maybe most importantly, something that was mentioned earlier was that they don't set their own standards. You know, if we go back to the story of me helping my friend Jamie and her fiance Greg move, you know, there wasn't a lot of clarity between the two of them on what the standards were, on how they wanted the move to happen and where they wanted boxes placed. So that lack of clarity could have easily allowed me to set my own standards, but it also allowed Greg to set his own standards. So there was a lot of confusion there. So the making sure that your training program is well done it provides that clarity so everybody's on the same page. It also provides community. And so in that space, a solid training program builds community within your whole team. It lets everyone know the standards. It allows them to understand the expectations. And as I mentioned before, they can hold each other accountable. And in essence, everyone becomes a trainer in your organization. And so, you know, a lot of organizations have a head trainer, a training team, or one person who they rely on for training. And, you know, a solid program may still need that person, but when done well, everybody in the company knows what the standards are. And so they can become a trainer as well on the floor in the moment, and not necessarily need to bring in the head trainer to do that program. And so this community within your organization, because you got a solid training program, increases consistency in your product or your service. And while it also instills pride amongst employees about their work. They know what their job is. They know that there's standards that have to be met. They hold each other accountable, and they also hold themselves accountable to those high standards. So a solid and consistent training program becomes really a vital piece of making your organization grow and successful, and opportunity for people to stay long-term. So there's also some clonability when you do a training program well. And I'm not talking about Dolly. I mean, anybody here is maybe not old enough, old like me, to remember Dolly. She was the first cloned sheep. Not talking about that kind of cloning, but I am talking about cloning the best practices and standards. And, you know, easy way to do that is with video. It gives you opportunity to go in and show exactly what needs to be done, how needs to be done, step by step. And, one of the reasons that we've had our clients that have hired us to do training projects is because they've become frustrated when they've had their head trainer or the person they've relied on to do the training retire and leave their organization. Yeah, they may have a manual or potentially standards in place in a document somewhere. Oftentimes in a lot of businesses, it's in a person's head, and a person is responsible for that training. What happens when that person leaves, retires, gets sick, unfortunately, and has to miss significant time away? And this is where we felt that this doesn't leave businesses without the consistency that they've had with, a person who's been doing it for a long time. And so having a set of training videos allows you to clone your best trainer while also giving employees on-demand 24/7 access to your training program. So it doesn't have to be just first day. If somebody is not necessarily standing up, doing their job as they should, and they are put on maybe a performance improvement program, opportunity to share those videos with them that they can watch during work time, or if they care enough, they can watch offline while they're not at work, and they can go back and kind of refresh their knowledge to make sure that they're doing the job that they are doing. They want to be done, that they want to do up to the standards that your company expects. It also inspires confidence. Anytime you're in a new job, sometimes you can be thrown to the wolves. What's the saying that people will say about swimming? They didn't learn how to swim because they learned how to swim when their parents tossed them in the water. Okay, well, that's one way of handling it. But that's not a good way to handle how we train employees either. If we just toss them out into the workforce or into the floor or into the team, they may not necessarily get the training you want them to have. At the same time, they don't know exactly what questions to ask. And so some may not ask any questions at all, may make assumptions. And so the last thing we want to do is to reduce that confidence of them knowing what their job is and knowing what their expectations on how to perform their job well. And a solid training program gives employees the confidence they need that they can do a good job for your organization. It also shows that the organization has made a commitment to help them be an important asset to your business. It shows that you care because you want them to succeed. When we just toss people into the water and let them learn how to swim, are we showing how much we care about that? We want them to succeed? In some ways, probably not. So, making sure that your training program works through the processes and gives them the steps that they need to know to do their job well and has those pieces in place, it's vital to that confidence. And, I would say, make no mistake that training is more than about doing the job well. It provides the employees the comfort and confidence that the place they're working cares about them as a human being and that they want to see them succeed. And that provides a better work environment for employees, which can be a determining factor on whether they choose to continue to work at any organization. Now, as we talked about last month, when all factors are equal, when you're talking about pay and hours and benefits, drive time to the job, if the jobs are generally the same, the things that start to differentiate your business from others are things like this that show that you care and you want those employees to succeed. Got a comment in the chat here. Chester, why don't you say, what is this? It also helps with cross-training customer service at a time when we all have many responsibilities or filling for somebody else. Yeah, why don't you expand on that for a moment?
Well, I'm a huge I guess convener of cross training because we don't know what goes into someone else's job unless we have either done it or we've experienced it. So, you know, if you're a small office like we are, there's a lot of times where if someone's out, you have to be able to pick up and do what the other person does, or you might not be able to get a task done or fulfill a customer's needs or whatever. So I think a specific training or clonability or whatever, it, you know, somebody that's smart enough to just go in and read how to do something can figure out how to get the job done if somebody else isn't there, or if they have to do it until someone else comes in along, you know, to do the job. With people going to different jobs now and there's so much turnover. Yeah, I think we all have to be cross-trained at
Yep.
this point.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment and observation. And you know, in small businesses, it can be cumbersome, right? In small organizations, it can be kind of cumbersome because, as you said, you know, you've got so many people who are kind of doing their own jobs, but when one is out, somebody else has to pick up the slack. And so, you know, are those processes documented somewhere that somebody else can pick it up? You know, as you said, it could very easily be on a shared drive in a document under the job role. So it's all typed out on what those things can be. Other ways you can do that, I mean, even, you know, small or no budget, you know, again, I'm a video guy, so I'm a visual learner personally. There's a lot of screen capture software out there to where you can go in, and especially if it's finding specific documents or things on how your job functions, do a screen share program and just walk somebody through in a short screen share video on how to do that piece of your job, and break it into those bite-sized chunks. So you're not overwhelming them with a 2-hour training seminar on how to do your job when it kind of came up in a hurry. Break those jobs down into bite-sized chunks, record those short screen share videos if that's what's appropriate for your job type, and provide that access in a shared space where people can go, oh, Andy usually, I got a call about this. Andy's out today. I need to figure out how to send out a proposal to a client. Okay, well, there's a 5-minute video on where that document lives, how to set it up, and how to share that. So. Cool. All right. Well, that was my 5 C's. And I didn't have a review tab for that, but I can read those out to you real quick. They were credibility, clarity, community, clonability, and confidence. So enough about me talking. I want to hear your thoughts, questions, or other comments about what your training looks like, needs that you've seen, or gaps that you've seen, or success stories that you've had that you found that really work in your training program that keeps employees engaged and sticking around.
We talk about this at every meeting that I'm ever at that has anything to do with jobs or talent or finding people, but the people's ideas of the ideal work environment have definitely changed. It is a definite on demand. Nobody wants to start at the bottom. Everybody values themselves quite highly. So, and I don't know the answer to how to fix all of these things, but I just know that that's a huge complaint or I guess situation, issue, whatever, that people just don't value themselves at starting out working up anymore. Everybody wants to be the boss, or everybody wants to work for themselves, or I want to work when I want to. I don't want to, work in an office. I don't want to schedule. I want to get paid more frequently. We've created such an on-demand life.
Yeah.
For sure. And I joke with everybody that, yard sales, thrift shops, buying stuff off marketplace, nobody has real money anymore. It's all electronic monies. It's all just different versions of electronic monies.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold real money anymore.
Yeah, it is interesting. I think that there's the comment you started off with is the first one I'll probably address, and then if we spin off into the other ones, we'll go from there. I think it's interesting because I'm if anybody is familiar on the generation timelines, I'm a Gen Xer, so I'm 46 years old, so I'm kind of in the middle of the boomers and the millennials, and then the Zers who are blazing into the workforce. And so I grew up in this time to where the hierarchy piece of you worked your way up into a business was there. And I
Which
heard
included training.
Right.
Oh, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no, go ahead. I mean, no, that's fine. You're right. It included training. I think it also, I heard a speaker once talking about how that can also reflect the relationships that people had or have with their parents. And if you talk to some millennials, but most Gen Zers, you can ask young women, who their best friend is. It's their mom.
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing the things with their mom. Their mom's their best friend. They're sharing TikTok videos with each other, potentially wearing the same clothes, doing a lot of the similar same things. And when they go into the workforce, they expect to be at a peer level with seniors because they've operated that way their entire lives, right? They've been at a peer level to some degree. Not to say that I'm not saying parenting is not taking place. It's just a different dynamic and a different relationship. And for me, that wasn't true. I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger. That definitely wasn't true with my sister and my mom. And so it's interesting because, I talk to people who are in that age range right now. And some of them are fearless in going in to, talk to the president. And it's just like, I'm going to go in and talk to the president because I have this thing that I want to know about, blah, blah, blah. And they don't see it as an issue, right? Some of us who weren't, in that same space, it's like, ugh, I can't believe they've been here a week and they're already running into the president's office to ask them questions about a thing. So there's a balance there of that exuberance, right? Yet, they're curious, is it a job thing? Is it how am I, there's some curiosity there about improvement, likely, whether it's self or for the organization. You got to temper some of that with how your operation flows. That's training on the front end to let people know, hey, this is how we communicate here. You're more than welcome to, talk to the president when you see him, but you can't just barge into the office anytime you want. So there is some of that dynamic as the workforce shifts, and people who are growing up in that different time frame think about work. There's going to be a shift there. So a lot of that will come in again to this front end training and expectation setting. That's really what training is. It's setting the expectation of, this is how we operate, and we want you to operate here, and we want you to succeed. You need to know this is how we operate.
Right.
Yeah, I would agree with what you were saying about the generational aspect. It is interesting to see the difference, because Andy, I'm like you. I'm actually a little bit older than you, so I am definitely in that age group. But to the training piece, I have to say the company I'm currently with, which is ProMedica Heartland Hospice, this is the first company that ever took their time to actually spend time and money training. And I've been in healthcare for 15 years, and I've not ever had a company basically sit down with me. And I'm a marketer, so the expectations is I'm going to be out in the community, trying to get business, trying to talk to people, doctors, whoever, about patients that need care. And they spent a month with me prior, and coming in with marketing experience. They spent a month with me making sure that I understood procedures and all aspects of hospice and all these different things that were really important to my job. And it was very enlightening for me because I'd never had a company take that kind of time. And that set a really good foundation for me and a respect for the company, that I saw that they invested in me and what they wanted me to do and how they wanted me to represent, the company I was going to be out there doing. And so it was, I don't know, it put it in a different light, if that makes sense, than what I've experienced in the past, where I felt like it wasn't taken seriously, or I was just somebody just basically to go out there and get numbers. I was a number builder, get that quota, and so I know I came in late to your lunch and learn. I apologize, but
That's okay.
I just wanted to kind of throw that out there because it was so impressive that this company did that. And I know I missed some of what you were talking about, so I hope I'm in the right area.
And we're recording. We're recording, so you can go back and watch it too, Anna.
Oh, yay.
Yeah.
I love hearing myself talk.
There you
Right.
go. Well, thank you for that comment. And I think it does echo some of the things that we talked about early on in this conversation today. And then, I've got a couple of questions back to you on that. Is, you talked about how how different that was, and looking at it now, looking back on it, why was that important to you? Why, for you as an employee, why did them taking the time for the training, why was that important?
Because I felt like that it was an investment in me. They believed in me. And, they didn't just hire me and say, here you go. They actually took the time to learn about me. And because, I did a whole gamut of different things like personality tests and all this stuff. But, over and beyond that, they also made sure I had a clear understanding of what the company does, what they represent, the different facets of business that they provide, how they provide that business, and hierarchies. I mean, the whole thing. I spent time with each individual, the clinicians that we work with, and the different areas that they work in, whether it be social work or nursing or what have you. I spent time doing ride-alongs and things like that. And I never had anybody invest in me in that way. So it put this really unique foundation of respect and understanding right there at the get-go, that I didn't have to just kind of blindly find my way, and understanding the vision of what the company, what their vision is, and the whole reason that they do what they do, it established something within me that I just felt like, wow, okay, like not only do I see this, but I believe in it myself. And so I kind of made that a concrete, I don't know what the word is, but I made that concrete in the beginning of my career with them, as this is how it is. This is how I'm going to operate. And, my values and their values, align. So it just put such a confidence in me, because I opened up the area I'm in Augusta County is a brand new territory for this company. So I basically walked in, with my contacts and resources, but I walked in and opened up a brand new area with no prior business. So And I mean, I've been here almost a year and we've had tremendous success, but I felt like that was because, again, they took the time to invest in me. And then I feel like I'm giving that back.
Yep. That's great. That's great. I mean, that's really, and I think that goes into what we were talking about. You mentioned confidence. That was something we had talked about. And, the investment piece of it, I think is really is so spot on, right? Is how many times are we as companies, when we're looking to hire people, we invest so much on getting them to come work for us, right?
Mhm.
Come work for us. You're sending, you're posting jobs, you're putting time and effort into and money into, posting these jobs and availabilities. And then once we get them, what's the next step?
Mhm.
And, the wrapping can be really great, but when you open the box and there's,
Right.
that's not great on the inside, then it's not going
Well,
to make a long-term relationship. And I think that making sure that the investment carries through, right, that it's on the front,
Mhm.
and then
Yes.
also in that initial training. And my guess is that there's probably continued training in that
Oh, yeah.
organization as you move forward. So I mean, it's not a one-time thing.
Mhm.
It's continual.
Absolutely. And I have to say that, I mean, the payoff as a business owner or somebody who is in this type of a role where you might be, trying to grow the company, I really think that, in this world right now, everybody is so, scrambling for people because, we've had an employee shortage and so forth. And, with the whole pandemic stuff. But honestly, if you take that small amount of time to put at the beginning, despite I know a lot of people are in a desperate place and they need somebody that can hit the ground running. But if you really take that time, that initial beginning time frame, whatever, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever, and you really put your time and effort, invest in that person, the payoff is going to be so much greater in the long run. Plus, I think retention wise, I mean, we don't have people that we don't have that revolving door in our company. I mean, we have a lot of people that have been there a long time.
Yep.
And I can see why. I mean, inevitably you're going to have a few, but
Sure.
honestly, especially being healthcare right now, we really do have our retention is really phenomenal by comparison.
Yeah. Good. And and that all comes into play. I mean, it really does. It's consistent across the board. And you as an employee feel valued, and we talked last month about right now labor controls the market. A lot of people don't like that I say that, but it's the truth, right? Is that there's more jobs open than people available to take them. So in that case, I mean, you've got to feel valued, A, to stay, but B, to even want to start to work there, period. So if you can, if companies can create that culture to where, you as an employee feel valued from the time you were recruited to start a job here, through the training piece and continued training and continuing moving forward in your job, I mean, you're likely to stay, because we all have, change is hard for everybody, and there's some fear of the unknown to some extent, right?
Mhm.
And when people are taken care of and they feel valued and they feel like that they're an important part, it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
And sometimes people will even take, maybe a little less money if their quality of life and how they feel about themselves and value they feel that the company has for them in their job
Mhm.
may change.
Well,
they go there.
to add to that, I think that companies have to market jobs just like products.
Yep.
And like going back to what you said, the pretty package on a crappy product
Yeah.
is going to shine through, and the same with a job. And I think that is some of what we're seeing with some turnover right now and some job voids, is because they're marketing something that isn't there as well to get people to come on board. And then the people get there and they're like, this is not what I expected.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And it is, I mean, it's, and Anna mentioned earlier values, right? you find out early if your values align.
Yep.
And if they don't, everybody can say that's okay. You know, the expectation is here and this is what our values are and this is what we expect and blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute. Hold on. We aren't syncing up on this values piece. And that's okay, right? You know, it's not, that's okay. So maybe that person can go find a job that has similar value set and things that are important to them. And the way like I said, the way the labor market is right now, that is more likely to be able to happen than not. And so making sure you got the right people, not just anybody, I know is easier said than done. However, if you put some energy into it, you can find the right people who want to A, apply for the job, B, want to be trained, and then go, wow, this is great. And then they want to stick around.
Yep. Yep.
We had a sit down last week at our young professionals meeting with Jay and Chad from Chick-fil-A. And it was just an open forum, ask questions, get business advice. Molly was there. She can tell you it was amazing. I would love to do a longer, more in detailed one. But one of the things that they said that I found was kind of interesting right now is that everybody needs employees, right? But they actually have employees that they turn away or applicants that they turn away because they don't align with those values. They don't walk in the door knowing that they're expected to say my pleasure. They don't walk in the door knowing what they're expected to do, and they overlook them. And yeah, do they need a body behind the counter for something? Sure they do. But do they want to waste their time, energy, money, effort, customer service for that person? Nope.
Yeah. What's the
Touch it,
cost in the long run?
Right.
I mean, not just, you know, that's accepting that from, you know, maybe that person could be trained up and, you know, but generally speaking, I agree with that because, you know, what does that do internally for the other people who've worked really hard to maintain those standards? Does that lower the standards that's set? Then that will eventually permeate out into the customer experience. And either you fix it right away, and so you're back to square one and looking for a better fit employee, or you don't because you need the body and you just continue to have them in the spot. And then that starts to, you know, to like filter out into your company, and that starts to impact culture, which then starts to change the whole dynamic. So yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly with that comment.
Molly, Zach, do y'all have any questions or anything to add?
No questions so far.
Zach?
I don't have anything.
Cool. All right.
Thank you guys for coming today.
Yep. Thank you all for coming so much. I really appreciate it. And next up in September, next month's Lunch and Learn, we're going to talk about retention since we touched on that a little bit. Thank you, Anna, for the transition there. And that one's titled, It's Not You, It's, well, it's you. And so are your employees thriving in their job, and do they want to stay? So hopefully you will join us next month, and appreciate you all being here today.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add a couple of things for you guys. Tomorrow we have our business after hours at Rad with Pride, if anybody's available. And then we have our City Foxes ribbon cutting next week on the 24th, which I'm super excited about. We've been waiting for that forever. And Guys Night Out is at Bottles. Anna, Molly, you guys can send your guys. It's free to get in. You will need to purchase your own food and beverages, but we're working on some fun contests and stuff going on. So just some professional networking there for the guys. And then we have our regular committee meetings, our aging in place, our young professionals. If anybody wants to get involved, just let us know and we can find a place to put you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.